Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Agency Builders webinar series where we're kind of jumping into ideas that will help you grow your agency, help you kind of not just survive in this AI-laden future, but actually thrive in it. Those of you that know me, we know we've been talking about for a long time this idea that the future is both highly autonomous and deeply human. And the question becomes, how do we actually leverage those things within inside of our business? And how do we create new revenue streams inside of the business that create opportunities, or if nothing else, clients see us as added value with things that aren't even costing us any more money to provide that can also help all the other services. So that's why I have Jerod Walker here with me today. Jerod, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
So what we're going to dive into is a handful of things. We did a version of this talk or of this call yesterday with the Future Focused Leaders community, and it was so disruptive for me personally once I got through it that I was like, I've got to solve these things myself. And so we'll kind of talk about what I did about that inside of the agency. But before we do, Jerod, if you'll just kind of give us like a 1-minute overview, why agencies should pay attention to this, why they should care, and really, how Intels can kind of help come alongside them as we get into this.
Yeah, so Intels has been around for 10 years, and we actually started as a voice over IP phone provider. So that meant we went into businesses and installed physical desk phones with this new technology that instead of using copper lines was using the internet to carry your voice calls. And over the years, we've grown to be we can be a full outsourced IT provider, but our communication platform has evolved to the point now we've got mobile apps, the ability to call and text using a business number, even from your personal phone, as we'll see in a little bit, and really level up your communication when it comes to your clients and even internally with your team. And then ultimately trying to give you tools that make you more effective, more efficient when it comes to converting your leads and being successful in your business.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this because I think it's really going to have a huge impact on our agency, Business Builders. And I'm really looking forward to getting this stuff implemented that we just started on literally yesterday with this, which I'm really excited about. When I think about agencies, and those of you that are here, thanks for tuning in. Just drop a comment if you would in the chat. Let us know if you're watching live, where you're watching from. And if you're watching this on demand or later, we're glad you're here too. If you have any questions and you're watching live, you can just put them right in the chat and we'll answer them as soon as we can. And if you're watching on demand, wherever you're watching this at, whether it's inside the community or on YouTube or wherever you may be finding this, just leave a comment wherever you are, and Jerod or myself will come back and reply. We got folks from all over: Mexico, Woodstock, Georgia, Jacksonville, Marty, usually down in Orlando. I'm not sure where you're at right now, but glad you're here. And I think you'll find this pretty valuable and interesting. I did yesterday. So when I think about agencies, I think about our revenue streams like I do an investment portfolio. And here's what I mean by that. You would never take your 401k and invest it in one single company. I mean, maybe if you're like mega high risk, you would, but you're verging on insanity if you're doing something like that, especially if you're at my age. Instead, you're going to diversify. You're going to spread it across many different areas. That's how I think about our agency. I've got categories of revenue that I could actually pull out and make them their own, 6 or 7 figure business that should be profitable for its own sake. So, hosting and maintenance. Hosting is a category, maintenance is a category, web builds are a category, marketing partnerships are a category, consulting is a category. In this case, agency builders is a category, future focused leaders community is a category. These are all categories of business that bring in revenue and ultimately provide added value to our clients. And as we think about the future, I'm thinking, what are the other things that I can provide? Because look, back in the day when I first started, I just built basic websites. And that was fine for a long time. And then we needed to do hosting, and then we needed to do maintenance, then we needed to do some search engine optimization. And one thing leads to another. I started to go, what are the other things I could provide to a client that relate? They're parallel lanes that tie over. So, Jerod, when you think about what agents are typically offering and delivering now, and what the opportunities are, like where does communication infrastructure even fit into that? And is this the kind of thing that even makes sense for a marketing agency to be thinking about, and why?
Yeah, I think a good example is something we've seen with FMOs or field marketing organizations. We find these specifically a lot in the insurance industry. So you have agents, independent agents who want to sell Medicare Part B plans or other health insurance plans. And then you have these big health insurance providers that are out there offering plans. And it's really hard for these little individual offices to negotiate contracts. And so there is this in-between entity, these field marketing organizations that go ahead and negotiate those contracts. But there are a lot of those out there. So how do you differentiate yourself in a crowded space? What they've learned is to distinguish themselves as partners for organizations that use them as their FMO and provide things beyond just these contracts. And so we've seen some of them build out entire sections of their website around all the benefits they bring to the table because they are a partner, not just a vendor. Whether that's relationships with certain entities or discounts to certain products like we're going to talk about today, but it's a way that you can bring to your clients some value add that is very adjacent to what you're doing. So when you're talking about lead generation and conversion and seeing revenue because of your marketing efforts, conversations become really important. Follow up with leads, things not falling through the cracks. And so where you can help your clients be more effective and convert more of those leads, more and better face-to-face conversations in an increasingly AI world, the more you can facilitate that, the more value you're going to bring to your clients. I don't know if it's just me, Jay, but I lost your audio.
Well, it'd be helpful if I unmuted myself, wouldn't it? You think after all these years in the studio, I know how to know when I'm on mute and when I'm not, but apparently I don't. What I was saying was that I have probably over-indexed on asynchronous communication over time. So what I mean by that is instead of making a phone call, let me send an email. And instead of making a phone call or sending a text message, let me just post on Basecamp or Teamwork or whatever the project management system is. And those things are good because they're highly effective. And it's also generally the way I would probably like to receive communication. But a lot of people aren't like that. And as I think about this deeply human side of the future, highly autonomous, deeply human, what I'm encouraging our team to do is go back to the old school stuff, more phone calls, more text messages, more in-person meetings, more events, more workshops. But for us at the agency, we have the way we've functioned from a communication perspective is we have a call, we have an 877 number that we've had forever, and it just goes to a call service, a receptionist service, and they answer the phone. They don't work in our office. They just have a list of instructions about our team. And lately, we've actually been getting quite a few like kind of complaints about it because that people call and they think they're in the office, but they're not. And so it's like, it's probably more hurtful than helpful at the moment. We've been looking for a new way to solve this problem. And then everybody on our team just uses their own cell phones because everybody got a cell phone. We just kind of, go, hey, you'll just answer that call. And because we don't make a lot of outgoing phone calls that aren't Zoom meetings, it doesn't matter that much, I think. And then a client starts texting somebody that they called, but it's on their personal cell phone. I got no record of it. That team member leaves. Now I don't have access to that information. We don't really have a good feel for how often we've ever even connected with a client. And this was so disruptive to me yesterday after we kind of went through and looked at your platform that I thought, why are we not doing this? This is an insane thing. And then when you showed me the pricing, I was like, this is a really insane thing because using a better system that's more autonomous and syncs up to my HubSpot is actually cheaper than what I'm doing right now with the reception service and way more functionality. So without me talking about it, I'd love for you to just kind of show folks, maybe share your screen, maybe show some examples of things that that might be helpful for agencies to be aware of.
Yeah. So you talked about your team using their cell phones. And the good news about the communication platform that we provide is that you are able to install an app on your mobile phone. So if you're listening in, what I'm showing right now is how our app looks like, kind of your cell phone. I'm showing what it looks like when you're running our app on Android or on iOS. It's sort of like you're giving your team a business cell phone plan and a personal cell phone plan, but they can do it all from one device. So they have their native calling app and texting app for personal life, and then they have the work system installed. So you can open the app on the mobile phone. I'm going to switch to more of a desktop view. You can run the app on any computer as a browser, in a browser. And if you're one of those people who likes a desk phone, you actually can tie desk phones into the system if you need that. But because of our integration with a lot of CRMs, you mentioned HubSpot, Jay. That's the example I'm showing right here. Right within our app, you can type someone's name and we will actually pull their phone number from your CRM. So you don't have to go to the CRM first. So if I search the name Nathan Allen, it finds a match. If I'm on my personal cell phone, it would look at my native contacts in addition to pulling from my integration, my CRM. And then when I click the call button, it will go ahead and initiate the call. So I didn't have to look up the number somewhere else first, copy and paste it over, and I've initiated a call, whether that's from my computer or my mobile device. One of my favorite things is if someone who's in my CRM calls me, we have a little bit of automagic that we do in the background. When you get a call notification, we're actually going to let you know the name of the person and their photo, not from caller ID, but from your CRM. And that's clickable. So before I answer the phone, I could actually click that notification, have that person's record open in my CRM, be refreshed on who they are and recent conversations before I even answer the call. So it helps me be more informed. And we also are going to log the call. So when I am on an active call, I can click a call actions button here. I can create a log and I can actually take notes right during that call. Details of things they specifically mentioned, some things I want to make sure that I remember later. And by capturing it in the moment, I don't have to remember to go back to my CRM and add it, because when I save this and complete the call, it's automatically going to become part of the call record in my CRM. So there are the notes that I took live in that call in the CRM. And the same thing applies to text messaging as well. I'll stop there in case you have any questions, Jay. Or should I go ahead and drive forward?
No, just to be clear, though, you're showing HubSpot as an example, but there's other CRMs that you connect to, right?
Yep. In fact, I have a slide later where we'll show you about 20 of them, and we have about twice as many total that we have.
So the thing I would just say for people that are watching, whether you're watching it live, if you are watching it live, I just put a poll over in the chat on the side that you can see, and you can vote. What are you currently using for phone and text, cell phone, company phone, voice over IP, Google Voice, something else. So let us know in that poll over in the side what you're using now, so we can kind of get a feel for it, and then I'll share those results just in a minute or two. But when we think about this technology, what I'm thinking about is not just how do I use it for my own agency, and I am thinking that because we signed up for it yesterday, but the second is how can we leverage and communicate this with our clients as a resource for them? Because I don't know about y'all who are watching, but I've had plenty of times where we know we're providing good leads to somebody, and they're like, well, they're just not good customers. I'll tell you a quick story. We had a client one time, it's a true story, who was a luxury landscape company, okay? And I won't say the name of the company, but they had a company name, and we were running some ads. So when people searched for luxury landscaping in a particular area, they came up. We were recording their calls on a different platform at the time, thankfully. So the owner was very upset because they weren't closing any deals. Now keep in mind, this is luxury landscaping. So we're talking about $50,000 to $250,000 deals here. We're not talking about replacing my plants in the front yard for $200. And literally one of the calls, the receptionist answers, "Hello, this is so-and-so company." The person on the other side said, "Is this luxury landscaping?" And they go, "Oh no, this is so-and-so company." And they're like, well, I mean, yeah, but I was searching for an ad. I was searching online and it said luxury landscaping. This is the number that it gave me. And they're like, "No, this is not luxury landscaping. This is such and such." And I'm like, holy smoke. You have got to replace that receptionist ASAP. Like she didn't understand that they thought she was asking for a company called luxury landscaping. No, that's the product that they're asking for. But I couldn't know that unless I had a recording from that call. And at the time, even still, actually now for most of our clients, we're using a totally separate system for that doesn't connect to the CRM currently. So you got to go look in that system to look at those results. So I think about this with my own clients. If they had this connected in, our team can go back, and especially now that you can connect something like an LLM to HubSpot or other tools, I can actually harvest that data and ask it, hey, how are they doing on their sales calls as it relates to these leads? What kind of feedback could we give them? Because even though we're more in the marketing side of the business, if the sales side's messed up, it creates problems for all of us, which I think everybody knows. I just ended that poll just to get a number. 83% of the people that replied on this poll said that they're currently using their personal cell phones. Me too, which is not ideal, because then I don't want to text customers, because I don't want them to text me back most of the time, with the exception of a few handful of people. And I don't want to call them. Those are not good behaviors. I should be able to, as I thought about this yesterday, Jerod, I said to our team, I said, what'd be really cool is, from this new number that I have with Intels, as the CEO, I could actually text all of our top clients, which I would never want to do on my phone, my personal cell phone, because it would be chaos. But in this system, I could automate a text to all of our top clients and just say, hey, this is Jay. You probably not heard from me in a while, but I've got a new system. I'm just checking in. I want to see how y'all are doing. Any feedback that anywhere I can help. Because what a cool impact that could create. And because I can do it at scale now, and I can even have team members help me reply or whatever else if I want when they come in into the system. So that was way more than a question. It was more like a lot of things I was thinking about as you were going through this.
Yeah, and you mentioning the call recording. So with our system, you do get the option to you can have call recording always on, or you can have it on demand, where you can turn it on or off as needed. And every state's a little different on how that works. So you just want to make sure you're doing it according to how you should in your state. But that recording would be a part of this log as well. So you would actually have that recording in HubSpot. And I mentioned how you could take notes, and that becomes a part of the log. But automatically, even if I'm driving and I take the call, or I just don't take the time to open the dialog box, take any notes, we automatically log the fact that that call took place, and you can see how long it was and who the internal user was, either on the client side or your own agency side. You're able to see there the fact that this call took place. So it's automatically going to log the activity. It's going to be here without you manually doing anything. Texts are going to work similar. So we have a whole messages area of our app. Again, I'm showing you what it would look like on a desktop, but all of this is available on the mobile app as well. We do have direct messaging, and we have channels. That's internal chat, either direct or group. You may have other solutions. I won't spend a lot of time showing there. I want to go ahead and jump into the SMS, the texting capabilities. So I can start a new message by clicking the little green plus. Again, I get that same lookup ability, so I don't have to go to HubSpot first to find somebody's phone number. I can just search by name or whatever my CRM is. I select the person, and it goes ahead and brings me to any existing conversation that I've had from this number with this person, in this case, Nathan. And again, as I text them and interact, we are logging those text messages in your CRM. And then if you have shared access, so you mentioned, Jay, a team member responding on your behalf, you can give any number of people on your team access to any number of numbers. So Jay, your direct number that you tend to use as your personal, you can give others on your team access to it. And then you can claim conversations, you can tag and then filter by that. You could create a tag called needs follow-up. So you filter by that and just look for those. And again, we're going to go ahead and log that in your CRM. We also give you the ability to bulk text. So you can copy and paste any list of numbers into here. Before you send it out, we go ahead and verify with your CRM who those numbers match. And those are clickable. If you think, wait, why is Lynn on this? I don't remember why Lynn should be getting this. You can click it. It will open in the CRM. Oh yeah, that's why Lynn is on this. You can add multimedia components to a bulk or individual message. You can save a template ahead of time. So if there's a monthly check-in that you want to reuse a template for, you can add personalization to it, confirm it when you select it, and even edit it specifically before it goes out. Once you've sent that bulk message, we give you a report on it so that you can see what it all looks like. And then, as I mentioned, we're logging it here, all these different types of activities, whether it's a call or a text, and maybe you're bringing in other emails. You've got that integration going with your CRM. You just filter and you can see text messages and the actual content of those text messages, including group messages. Those are going to be logged here as well. So again, there's probably a lot of written communication that you're logging somehow, like emails, but now we bring voice and text into that conversation tracking as well.
So let's pause real quick. Justin asked a question in the chat. He said, how much overlap is there with a service like CallRail or High Levels call tracking?
So in the case of something like a CallRail is going to give you some reporting more on the source of that number. Where did they see that number? Where we are not going to track that aspect of it, but we're going to give you the actual content of the call. Now, I'm not super familiar on the non-marketing aspect of CallRail, how much they're showing you when it comes to the person on your end who took the call.
It'll show.
Like
so we used
Yep.
CallRail historically, so I can answer that one a little bit. Is the way that we used it was it would track, like it'd give you a specific incoming number, and because you used that number in a particular ad, I would know that that's where that came from, which I actually could do a similar thing with yours if I really wanted to. And then it would record that incoming call. What it doesn't do, or at least doesn't, as far as I'm aware of, allow any kind of outgoing calls, management of those texts. Maybe High Levels does, I'm not sure. But Justin, the difference, at least from my perspective, is this is a complete communication platform versus just trying to track incoming marketing leads. It's not just that, it's actually fully comprehensive. I see CallRail, I don't know about High Levels, but I see CallRail as more of a marketing tool that's specific to that, where I see something like Intels as a complete communication platform from pre-sales to existing clients, kind of across the board, if that makes sense.
And we do use CallRail to see, which ad was it that they called from on that side. But I've never dialed into any of the recordings.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll go ahead and show just example of the different integrations that we have. These are built via API. So again, I mentioned there's probably another 20 that we have built already. High Level is in process right now. So that's coming soon. Any CRM that has an API that's published and documented, our team is usually able to build an integration with.
And to be clear, the integration is a really nice add-on, but all the data is also being stored inside of Intels. So arguably,
Correct.
if somebody didn't even have, some clients don't even have a CRM, which is not very helpful at all. Intels is at least storing those phone calls, information, details, things like that.
And we have had a few clients, because we do have a contact area and you can group those into lists and use those for communication. We have had clients use our app essentially as a very simple CRM.
And then Marty asked, is AccuLinks on the radar at all? It sounds like, I just looked it up, looks like it's a all-in-one roofing CRM software. Marty, what Jerod had told me was if they have a good API, their team may be able to build a connector for it. So that's certainly something, that there'll be a good follow-up to shoot an email over to Jerod, which he can share his email in the chat as well. So you have access to that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, super helpful to be able to link into those. And anybody that's got questions as we go, feel free to add those in the chat. I'll interrupt as we go. Jerod just dropped his email address in there. If you're not watching this live, I'll put that in the notes somewhere that it's helpful so you have access to it. Also just share it on the screen right now so it shows up. There you go, jerod.walker@intels.com. We had talked about this idea of it kind of being a multiplier, how this could work for an agency, not just for our own operations, because I see that, but also as a recommendation or referral for a client. So how do you see that working? And how do you see that being a value add for an agency to be thinking about?
So I think there's a couple of things. Obviously, again, because it's adjacent, it has to do with lead follow-up and how are you converting and doing better with the leads that you are getting. And so you're able to do sort of a warm handoff with a partner as opposed to just kind of a cold recommendation. We have also put together an assessment. We'll share a link to that here in a second, but we've put together an assessment, a communication assessment that you can provide to your clients as again, another value add for them to go ahead and look and evaluate their own systems. And then you have an opportunity to say, here's a solution that could help with that. You can take the assessment yourself as well. And then we've also built into that assessment an opportunity for you to pass on as something that's part of your relationship with that client, a discount. And so the discount is going to provide them 20% off of their per extension pricing, as well as a discount on their onboarding, their system setup and staff training package at the beginning. So I'll go ahead and share the QR code for that. Our communication audit is there. You can unlock your own discount there, but you can also share that discount, share the audit, and then when they complete it, they'll have access to the discount when it comes to your clients as well.
Yeah, and I'll put the link to that in the chat as well, and we'll put in the show notes description. If you don't get the QR code for some reason, it'll be all in those notes, which I'm going to add right now.
Perfect.
And so the idea behind this is going, hey, what's an additional value I can provide to the client? So y'all are familiar with this before because stuff you sign up for, this already happens. We're just not necessarily thinking about this inside of agency land, at least I'm not always. So for example, when somebody signs up for Slack, they might get discounts off of all of these other programs because I'm using Slack. Or if I sign up for Stripe, or I sign up for, this happened the other day, I was setting up a new LLC in Stripe's Atlas program. And it's like, because you're a member of Stripe Atlas, you get 20% off Mercury Bank, you get 20% off of this, you get $500 in credits for that. And I think that one of the models, most of us have some type of retainer marketing partnership type agreements that we do, that we make recurring revenue off of. And I think it's an interesting idea to go, hey, as one of the values of being a recurring marketing partnership client with us, we have discounts with these programs that could help, that are all parallel relational. And some of them may be affiliate programs, some of them may be just be referrals where the client's getting a discount. It costs us nothing. The client gets a better resource, feels like we're providing value to them. And in this case, if they're using this and it's tying into their CRM, we're able to track better results over time as well, which I really like.
And Jay, I know from the chat earlier that we have people from different locations represented. And if you do have team members that are not inside the US, one of the nice things you can do is you can actually, when they're a user on the system, you control what numbers they have access to. And those are US numbers. And as long as that staff member, that team member has a data connection, whether it's over Wi-Fi or their own cellular signal, then they're able to make a call that will show up as from a US number. So that can be really helpful if you have team members outside the US who need to be able to text or call. And so in some ways it's kind of a WhatsApp replacement, but it's going to be tied into your CRM, tied into your system.
Looks a lot more professional, the whole thing. One of the things we had talked about previously that we haven't talked about on this call yet is when somebody gets that first initial incoming call. So like I said, right now, our 877 number just goes to a receptionist service. They try and forward it to people, and if not, they take a message or send it to voicemail. I'm not sure what it is. With your service, what does that look like? When I have that initial incoming phone call, what are my options as far as what I can do with that incoming call?
Yeah, so you can, as part of your system setup, you manage behavior based on every phone number. So you can have multiple phone numbers, and the behavior can be different according to each phone number. You can have it so that when that number is dialed, it automatically rings a certain number of extensions. I want it to ring these 3 staff members if they call this number. And then if no one picks up, maybe I want it to go to voicemail, or maybe I want to expand the ring group, and now I want it to ring 5 extensions before it goes to voicemail. You can have that time-based. So automatically at 5 p.m. Eastern, that goes to a voice menu right away instead of directly ringing extensions. And you can just continue building from there. We have call centers that use our system. So you have a lot of options in setting up your call routing, your flows, how you want that all to be managed on your end.
It makes a lot of sense. So like in my case, what I'm going to do is I've got a couple of team members who kind of are more administrative, have a lot of like broad subject matter knowledge. So my thought is I'm going to have it ring them first. If they don't answer, it'll go to a phone tree. and then people will be able to select where they want to go. That can call out and or leave voicemails. But I think the idea from a highly human perspective is all of a sudden we're going to be able to do things like have our teams, so our marketing teams at Business Builders are an account manager, a project manager, and a creative manager. And what we're going to do is we're going to have numbers for each one of the teams. And that way the client can get a specific phone number for their team. And either the team, it can ring all three of the people on that team, and they can either answer it or not. But if they don't answer it, the voicemail is going to their team. They can manage that from one inbox. They can have texts that go in and out from that client, because I got a couple of clients who they love to text message, but I don't really want to do it because it's just I don't have a way to systematize it, but now I do. And so I'm looking forward to getting this activated for us at our own agency, because I think it's going to make the relationship feel more human. And the more I can do that right now, the more I think it matters.
And Jay, one of the things we talked about yesterday was the ability, because everyone is a user on your system, regardless what phone number they call, you can transfer that call to any other user on the system.
Oh yeah,
so
we talked about this.
If they call you initially and you need to hand it off to that particular team, whatever, you can do that. You can transfer to any other extension.
Yes, this is the problem. I mean, it's funny because we're all kind of going back to some old school stuff a little bit with this, just with nicer, newer technology layered on top of it. So I'm still not wired to my desk. I can still use the same phone that I have in my pocket. But the other advantage that we talked about, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when I go on vacation, which back in the day, I used to define a trip as something I took the kids on. A vacation was when Claire and I just went. Now my kids are bigger. I actually like them being on trips with us anywhere, on vacations with us. But the way I think about it is a trip is somewhere where I'm still working. Like we're going somewhere. It's going to be fun, but I'm going to be checking email, making phone calls, doing stuff. A vacation, like we're taking this summer, we're doing a week-long cruise. I will not check my emails or anything else while I'm gone on that. And I used to love cruises as a primarily thing. One, I'm 2 hours from cruise ports, but the other is I couldn't connect to the outside world if I wanted to. Well, I could have, but I'm not paying for the internet. So I don't pay for the internet. I got no connection. But now they've made it so you can iMessage on a cruise, which sounds great. And it is great for the people that I want to talk to who are on the boat. But I don't want to talk to other people who are not on the boat. Like if you're not on the boat, I don't want to talk to you. But the beauty of this is I can turn off my Intels completely from my phone, as can my team, and not be bothered by incoming things that are business related at all, and still use my regular phone for anything else. The other idea that Jerod had when we were talking about this was, and I may or may not do this, but I've had my own cell phone for a very long time. So everybody has this number, and there's pros and cons to it. The con right now is a lot of spam people have it. Maybe I'm just the only one, but I get tons of spam messages now. So to the point where I can't even answer a call if I don't know the number. But one idea Jerry had when we were talking was I could port my phone number into the Intel system, and that becomes my new business phone number. So everything that's business goes there. Then I could just get a new personal phone number, and that becomes like my secret number that really only the people who I really want to talk to when I'm on vacation have access to. So a handful of friends, my wife, and my kids. That's about it. And that's an interesting idea.
And I'm sure nobody else has had this problem, but I have been in modes where I just silence everything on my phone because I'm tired of all the notifications.
Yeah, for sure.
And then my wife's calling me and texting me, and I'm not getting any notifications, and now I'm in trouble. So
That's right.
Being able to kind of separate the two and have the way, okay, this person can get through. And obviously there's some tools built into your device to help with that as well. But I know times on vacation where I've been so frustrated by text messages because I can set up the autoresponder for email. I can give someone access to my email inbox at work. I can change the voicemail recording so people know I'm out of the office. But what about those text messages that come in? I feel like I have to respond to say, hey, I'm out of the office right now, but I'll follow up next week. Well, now I can give someone else access to that same number who can respond on my behalf, or I can even set up an automated response as well.
That's what I was going to ask.
System. Yep. And so now I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to feel like I have to get back to those because they don't know why I'm not responding. It's all covered on our system.
That's one of the most frustrating things actually with my cell phone, and I still don't know why this is not a thing. Maybe it is, and I just don't know how to use it. I would think I would, but is I can't set up an auto reply. There's like the auto reply thing if you're driving in the car, like that's a thing.
Yeah.
But I can't just have an auto reply on my text that says, hey, I'm out of town, I'm not checking messages right now. And part of that is because I've just commingled all my work phone stuff with my personal stuff. And I'm just excited to have two separate numbers where I can go, hey, yeah, feel free to text me anytime. Here's the number. And
Yep.
then I can have that freedom because I can have an assistant in there who I may not want to have in my actual iMessages with my wife, you know? And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to on our team side. Anybody is in the chat, feel free to leave any questions if you're watching live. If you're watching this on demand, same thing. Leave any comments or questions in the messaging. Jerod, what have we not talked about today that we need to talk about? Maybe as it relates to what does onboarding look like? What does support look
Yep.
like, both for me and potentially for my clients who might use your service?
Yep. So on the onboarding, we have some tools to help you get your system set up. If business is ready to dive in and get their system set up, it's a matter of days. And actually, in your first month's bill, we actually don't bill you again for 7 weeks. So we kind of build in 3 weeks free to give you that time to do your system setup. Probably the most technical part, when you want to be able to text, there's some compliance that you have to have. It's supposed to help with spam texting. I don't think it has, but in order to text as a business, you do have to set up what's called a 10DLC campaign. We help you through that, and your website has to just be compliant. The good news is people don't have to opt in to receive text messages. You just have to have a privacy policy on your website that lets people know you might text them, and it has to be a part of any form where you're asking for a phone number. It just has to be compliant. So once you have that set up, you can be up and running with our system in a matter of days. And again, we give you some tools to help with that. On the support side, I know it's a rare thing this day, but we are kind of a communication company. So we actually do have live phone support hours that are staffed 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time, because we want to make sure that our Pacific Coast friends are able to get us during their working hours as well. So Monday to Friday, we actually have a support team that answers the phone, as well as within your account center, you can create tickets and get support anytime that way as well.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll just go back and highlight one of the things you already said earlier, but I want to kind of double down. I know a lot of agencies out there have team members all over the world at this point. Somebody on one of the calls yesterday had somebody in the Philippines. We've got people in Mexico, Brazil, Pakistan, India, and the communication thing's a little bit tricky because what I've realized is we just default to Zoom for everything. And I actually think that's a huge mistake too. It's a post-COVID like reality because sometimes a phone call's fine. Like a lot of times a phone call's fine. A lot of times a 5-minute phone call is what you actually need. And instead we're like, let's schedule a Zoom that's a half an hour. And it's like, that's not what I really needed. But part of it I'm realizing is our behavior has changed because we haven't had the right tools and technology that allow us to make those quick. Hey, let me just call them real quick because I don't want to call them from my personal phone. And I don't know how I've waited this long to solve this problem, but I think it's gonna be really great. So I don't.
Yep.
You've pretty much exhausted all my questions. There's no other questions in the chat. Is there anything else? Anybody in the chat, feel free to leave a question. Or Jerod, is there anything else like parting thoughts that we've not talked about today that we need to talk about?
Yeah, maybe a final thought. We probably haven't given a lot of thought to calls as a source of our inbound leads.
Yeah.
But when we do receive calls, the value of that lead, if someone has taken the time to pick up the phone and call you, to actually find your number and call you, they're probably pretty ready to engage in conversation. And if they don't get a response, it's very easy for them to just Google the competitor and call them instead because no one answered. And how often do you leave a voicemail for a business? So when there are calls, and oftentimes they come from a referral. Hey, my buddy Jay has done a great job for me. I'm going to go ahead and send you his contact card so that you can reach out to him. And then if they don't have someone actually answer the call when they initiate that call, that can be a huge missed opportunity. So I do think inbound leads that are coming in via phone, there tends to be a higher value on those compared to a lot of other sources.
Yeah, and the reality is too, the data is very clear that the quicker we're able to reply to leads, especially incoming phone
100%.
calls, the more likely we are to close those people into customers. I mean, it's exponentially higher. And so I'm hoping to leverage this technology for us and for our clients where it's going to be helpful. And I'm really thankful for you, Jerod, and for Intels coming alongside agency builders, because we don't get to do all the fun stuff we get to do without partners. And I like bringing people in who actually have a product or service that I'm willing to use in my own business. And so we're literally in the middle of the onboarding process now. So if any of you who are watching are going, hey, I wonder what that's like, shoot me a direct message on Slack, or eventually I'll be able to just put my phone number right in the chat and you'll be able to reply to it. Right now I will not, but eventually I will. And so that's going to be very exciting. But Jerod, thanks for being here today. Everybody else who watched live and everybody who watches on demand, thanks for being a part of the Agency Builders community. It really is a place where my hope is that we're going to learn and grow together. Wisdom ultimately is learning from other people's mistakes. And I've made some mistakes in this area I'm trying to solve now myself in my own agency. I'm super excited about it and thankful to have a partner like Jerod to help us get it right. So Jerod, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate getting to be a part of what Agency Builders is doing. A fun group.
All right, everybody else, we'll see you soon.